The whole purpose of this channel is to find assets that are in the early stages of a mega trend that can provide life-changing returns. That is the most efficient way of catapulting yourself to a higher socioeconomic class. We've seen it happen thousands and thousands of times, from the early stage investors in Amazon, Google, Nvidia, Bitcoin, Ethereum. So what are the opportunities today? Today, we're going to hear from an OG early stage investor. Michael Saylor is one of the best investors of all time. He was incredibly bullish on mobile phones, how important they would be and how to invest in them. Apple, Google, he was a massive investor in those companies. Now he's a massive investor in Bitcoin early on. He has one of the most successful companies on the planet. He understands the power of digital gold. And now he just has an infinite money glitch, printing shares into the market, buying Bitcoin. The more Bitcoin they have, the higher the price goes, the more valuable the shares, the more shares they can sell, the more Bitcoin they can buy. So he's a true genius. He understands the future. And so what he does is see trends before anyone else. And so he's been a Bitcoin maximalist, and he's still a Bitcoin maximalist. But what we have to do is read between the lines of what he's saying about altcoins and determine whether or not assets like ICP can absolutely skyrocket based on exactly what he says. So let's go into exactly what he's saying about assets like ICP.
I think the big major sea change is you can see $500 trillion of conventional assets getting tokenized to become digital assets. Why wouldn't half of the equity in the world become digital equity? Like, why wouldn't you expect to see Apple stock, Google, Amazon stock trading on your iPhone and your Android phone as tokenized security? The path is open for stablecoin, that to go from $150 billion to $1 trillion to $10 trillion. I think there's $10 trillion of demand for that. I think that we're going to go from $100 billion to a $10 trillion industry in stablecoins. I think the exciting thing, right, is defining a digital token, right? How about a token in cyberspace that has utility in cyberspace? It's not a security. It doesn't have a claim on real property or on cash flows, but rather it's Tom Brady gives a digital token, and it gives super fans rights to chat with Tom Brady online, right? 10 million people want to comment on Tom Brady's post, but the top 100 super fans, they get elevated to the top. I don't know why there wouldn't be a million of those different types of tokens issued, right? And what happens next is, I think millions and millions of digital assets will be created. I think that'll bring the exchanges to life. That'll create a renaissance in the wallets. That'll create a renaissance in all the applications. What's really interesting here is we jolted from a very regressive, a very depressing timeline to a very progressive, very inspirational, pro-technology, pro-prosperity timeline. And it all happened in 2024.
So remember, this man is one of the most visionary investors of all time, one of the most successful investors of all time. And the future he sees is one where cryptocurrencies flourish. Millions of tokens are created. Crypto wallets attract a massive amount of capital. Trillions of dollars move on chain. And so wallets, crypto infrastructure, profit massively. That is exactly what he's saying. And so that is incredibly bullish for these beaten down, undiscovered, high quality digital assets. So is ICP in the basket of assets that can absolutely skyrocket at least 20x and provide life-changing returns? That is exactly what we're going to answer by diving into what is going on with this asset. Well, to start, out of millions of assets, let's say 10 million crypto assets, ICP in the last 24 hours is the 26th highest revenue generating asset. We're talking out of millions of assets. We're talking about in the depths of an altcoin winter. ICP is able to generate enough fees to be the 26th highest rated asset. That means it's beating Aerodrome, which is Coinbase's massive DEX. It's beating Polygon, which has enormous organizations building on top of it. Remember, everyone looks at big institutional adoption as a sign that a crypto is succeeding. Well, Polygon is partnered up with the biggest institutions on the planet. It's not generating as much revenue as ICP is in the depths of this crypto winter. What happens when the future Michael Saylor is talking about comes to fruition? Well, the highest quality assets that are generating a massive amount of revenue are most likely to generate way more revenue as trillions of dollars of capital flood into the space. So again, ICP beating Aerodrome, beating the Near protocol. Near protocol gets a lot of hype. ICP is generating more revenue than it. Near protocol is ranked 42. OP mainnet. This is A16Z's blockchain pet project. Coinbase is using it. WorldCoin is using it. Not generating as much revenue as ICP. So again, in Michael Saylor's future, and if anyone can see the future, it's him, assets like ICP are going to flourish because they're beating a lot of the other quote unquote high quality assets, meaning they're in the top tier of high quality assets. Cardano's 48, Helium, super hyped up Solana project, number 60, Dogecoin, $100 billion market cap. In the last 24 hours, only generated $7,000 of fees, injected. Avalanche, how much hype do these assets have? How big are their market caps compared to ICP? So again, the future of crypto is incredibly bright. Obviously, we have the current presidential administration hiring insanely pro-crypto people to develop crypto policy. They are going to roll out the red carpet for these assets. David Sachs, who is the person in charge of creating crypto policy in the United States, is an investor in Helium, for example, right? ICP is making way more money than Helium currently. So obviously the 26th highest cash generating crypto asset on the planet has a massively bright future. And guess what? If you actually look on chain and do fundamental analysis for this asset, every single trend is pointing to exponential growth. For instance, ICP has the potential to be a deflationary asset. The more it's used, the more tokens are burned, meaning taken out of circulation forever, making ICP scarcer and scarcer. Yes, there's some inflation from voting rewards, but what we saw in 2024 was that the amount of ICP burned can surpass the inflation from voting rewards, causing it to go deflationary. It already happened. Look at the trend of ICP burned up and to the right, exponential growth, especially at the end of 2024, right? So we're just getting started. Look at the number of SNS DAOs on ICP. These are decentralized autonomous organizations building on ICP. These are teams. These are groups of people from around the world. Remember, this is a global asset. Millions and millions of people using the world computer right now. It's in its infancy. Look at the growth. Total DAOs in 2024, 29. Total DAOs in 2023, 14. So it doubled year over year. If we double year over year in teams building on this network, the fees are going to double. And obviously the price of this asset is going to skyrocket. So according to Token Terminal, which tracks this data, ICP should be the 20th based on all fundamental analysis. Again, eventually the market's going to smarten up and do fundamental analysis on these assets once Wall Street analysts start getting involved in this space, and ICP is going to reprice. The Ton network is Telegram's blockchain. ICP in the last 24 hours has generated almost as much revenue as Ton. The fully diluted market cap of Ton is $30 billion. The fully diluted market cap of ICP is $6 billion. So right there, ICP is worth as much as Ton. And that's a 5x move today. If the market got smart today and billionaires started taking over this space, started looking at these assets as actual businesses, which they will one day, especially in Michael Saylor's future, they're going to look at these assets as businesses. They're going to look at the space, say, I have billions of dollars to put to work. I could either spend $30 billion of my hard-earned money on the Ton blockchain, or I could spend $6 billion on the ICP blockchain and get the same amount of revenue. So think like a billionaire. You're going to put capital to work that gives you a return on investment. So ICP is already paying passive income from staking rewards. A lot of those fees are going to burn the ICP token. That's spiking. We're in an exponential uptrend on growth on the world computer, and the tech just keeps getting better and better. So even if Michael Saylor's future doesn't come to fruition, ICP is worth a $30 billion market cap. ICP is the second fastest growing full-time developer community. So when you look at these assets, we want to see people building because that means future revenue. The second fastest growing full-time developer community in the world after Solana. Solana's market cap is something like $100 billion. So if ICP gets to Solana's market cap, that is a 20x move. And so currently it's the number 26th ranked asset in terms of revenue being generated, but it's number 2 for developers building on it. That speaks to future revenue, which means it's not going to stay at 26 forever as more and more and more organic growth occurs on this world computer. So this is how early stage investors think. You have to look into the future, look at the assets that have rock solid fundamentals like the Amazons, the Googles, the Microsofts of the world when they were selling off at deep discount. Remember, we talk about this all the time. Past price has absolutely nothing to do with future price. If it did, when Amazon crashed 90% in the internet tech bubble collapse, that would have meant something. It meant absolutely nothing. So price action is noise. All that matters is future fundamentals, because price catches up to fundamentals, especially when you're kicking off a lot of cash flow like ICP is. And here's just one example of what is going on ICP. ONIC AI. Users are exploring icgpt.onicai.com, testing the on-chain Qwen 2.5 large language model parameters. This activity is generating significant cycle burning on the canister, right? The ICP smart contract canister hosted on the ICP-Z2 subnet. So currently at 26 billion cycles per second. For context, a single LLM is burning more cycles, aka ICP network revenue, than the entire ICP network was burning at the beginning of 2024. This is one LLM. This doesn't factor in Build on Blockchain Bob. This is just one project. It's the second fastest growing developer community. They're all going to be building projects like this. That is how ICP goes deflationary, even more deflationary than it went in 2024. Does not get bigger than this. We're staying on top of this asset. Michael Saylor's vision for the future is very bright for ICP.